I have always been a quiet and reserved girl, lost in my own world, cherishing golden dreams. At the age of 16, I was considered a delicate beauty, slim and graceful. A few years ago, we moved into a new house after my father bought it. Settling in took some time, and just as we were getting over the exhaustion of moving, we received an invitation to my cousin's wedding. It was necessary to attend. So, after a rush of preparations, we reached the wedding venue. Among the guests were many of my female relatives who welcomed me warmly. One of my aunts was particularly praising a young man among them, a boy I had never seen before. His name was Umair. He started talking to me casually, as if we had known each other for years. I found it quite annoying because I was not used to such familiarity, especially from someone I had never met before. That night, the electricity suddenly went out. My aunt asked me to fetch some candles. As I entered the dark room, I bumped into someone. Annoyed, I blurted out, "Can't you see where you're going?" A voice replied with amusement, "Do people even see in the dark, ma'am?" He was Umair. He had also come to get candles, holding a matchbox in his hand. He lit a match, and as the flame flickered, I caught sight of his face. Without saying a word, I handed him a candle. He smiled and said, "Wouldn't it have been better if we had become friends in the light rather than bumping into each other in the dark?" I frowned and replied, "Friendships are between girls, not boys." Laughing, he said, "In America, we make friends with girls too." I snapped, "This is not America. Got it, mister? And don't try to cross my path again." I turned around and stormed off. Behind me, I heard him chuckling. "No need to be so angry. These things happen at weddings." The next morning, I was sitting in the courtyard when a small piece of paper fluttered down from the upper floor and landed at my feet. Surprised, I looked up, but saw no one. I picked it up hesitantly and went inside to read it. My hands trembled, and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. Just then, Umair appeared in the doorway and noticed my distressed expression. He stepped closer and asked, "Why are you crying? Did you lose some jewelry?" I furiously threw the letter at him. He caught it, read it, and then shrugged. Why cry over something like this? Beautiful girls always get letters like this. I glared at him, but he smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll find out who did it." But nothing came of it. That evening, during the Mendi ceremony, I was struggling to decide what to wear. Umair noticed my dilemma and, with a playful tone, said, "Should I help you choose an outfit?" Annoyed, I sarcastically replied, "Sure. And while you're at it, clean the bathroom too. It's a mess from all the girls using it." To my surprise, he actually agreed. After a while, he returned, his clothes slightly dirty but with a victorious grin. "There, bathroom's clean. Now, shall I help you pick an outfit?" I couldn't help but laugh. He suggested I wear yellow, saying it would suit me best. I reluctantly followed his advice. That night, I received countless compliments, and I noticed Umair watching me from afar, his eyes filled with admiration. After the wedding, we returned home. But something had changed. My mind kept going back to Umair, his jokes, his teasing, his unexpected kindness. I learned that Umair was my father's cousin's son, and he had been living in America for years, which is why I had never met him before. Days passed, but I couldn't shake the thought of him. Then, one evening, Umair and his father visited our home. He was polite but distant, and before I could even properly talk to him, my mother called me away. By the time I returned, he had already left. 2 years passed. I often regretted not talking to him that day. Had I missed my chance? Then one day I heard that Umair and his family had moved back to Pakistan permanently. My heart raced at the news. But weeks went by and he never came to see us. I felt a strange restlessness. Did he not care? Then one day, I ran into Umair at a shopping mall while I was out with my mother. He greeted us politely, but there was a noticeable distance in his demeanor. In response, I also acted indifferent, pretending I didn't care. He probably thought I had no interest in him. That night, I cried bitterly. Why had I acted so cold? If I had just shown a little warmth, maybe things would have been different. But my pride kept holding me back. I wanted to reach out to ask him why he had changed, but I never did. I kept waiting for him to take the first step. Then one day, a relative named Maria mentioned that she liked Umair, and their families were considering their marriage. My heart sank. Maria was clever, always making her way into people's hearts with her charm. Umair's family seemed delighted with the idea. While I lived in my world of dreams, Maria took action. A few months later, Umair and Maria were engaged. I drowned in sorrow. My heart shattered into pieces, but I had no one to blame except myself. My stubborn pride had cost me the love of my life. I never married. I devoted myself to my career and became a respected college professor. People called me successful, but deep down, I knew the truth. What is success if the heart remains empty? If you love someone, don't hold back. Love demands courage. If you let it slip away, it never returns.